How did you heal after getting your heart broken? What are some things you did during that time? It might sound weird, but I got a whole new playlist of music to listen to and let myself be sad for a while before trying to get over it. I hate to say it because it sucks, but ultimately time heals all wounds and eventually you just get over them. The first thing was I did not get into another relationship for quite a while. I didn't date for a little while either. I took that time to get some therapy and really untangle what I went through. I did not want to carry that into the next relationship. Heavily indulged in my hobbies, took up arts and crafts because it's a good distraction, worked out, pampered myself by getting my hair and nails done, face packs, bubble baths, etc. It doesn't fully go away unless you find someone more appropriate for you. With time you just feel less heartbroken, and you train yourself not to think about it as much as possible. But there are moments of weakness where you might even want to reach out to them or do it. Cried a lot, biked a whole lot, traveled, smoked, and started seeing other guys eventually. The beach. The beach makes me feel loved. As if I'm with the ocean and I'm not alone. Just me, myself and the ocean. It makes me feel at peace, and the water is so big and so much greater than my little life and troubles, but it still keeps on keeping on no matter what, just like I need to. A few things. I made a breakup playlist of songs I could cry to when I wanted, but I also had some playlists to take my mind off. This most recent time it was French pop love songs. And indie rock, jam band instrumental types like Real Estate. I also made a list of films to watch. I'm partial to second act / midlife crisis / post-divorce / starting ever films, so I did a lot of searching and compiling to make a list of movies to watch and rewatch, featuring women branching out on their own and doing the messy work of rediscovering themselves. I also just focused on self-care. Trying to be present and treat myself well. Reading articles about wellness and self-care. Doing activities I enjoyed. I took a painting class one day that was very low-key and rewarding. I took a solo trip to a nearby city for a few days. Talked with my therapist and friends. I did all the things that I genuinely wanted to do, free from the opinion or disdain that my ex used to push onto me. I got a puppy of a breed he used to scoff at, and my pup ended up being one of my soul dogs. I blocked him off all social media and it still remains so to this day. Stayed single with no intention of dating before my current partner came into my life. I focused on what I want to do and who I want to be instead of what could have been. I focused on my hobbies and making myself feel great. For me, this looked like working out every day, eating healthy, oil painting, and getting time outside. It really helped to distract my mind from the breakup to keep busy. I also let myself cry and process things in the beginning, but not too much as time went on, because I think it's easy to get caught up in a self-pity party and only feel worse for it in the end. I also refused to let myself ever contact my ex for anything ever again. I started dating after about 6 months, when I truly felt ready. I hopped on a dating app and started swiping. It was a major confidence boost for me to see men actually being interested in me after how my ex had treated me. I ended up meeting my current boyfriend. I really know what it feels like to love and be loved now. You never have to question things when you're with the right person. We've been dating for a year now and are planning to get engaged soon. I rarely if ever think about my ex, and when I do it's only with regret of ever having been with him. Although, I can say that I'm thankful for having dated him in a certain way. I think dating him really helped me realize exactly what I wanted and didn't want in a relationship. We broke up at the perfect time too, because it helped me to meet my true love. It's funny how time gives you a lot of perspective on emotions and people's actions as well as their maturity. This is my experience, but I think it will differ for a lot of people. Especially when you take into account the circumstances under which the breakup happened. For me, I was clinging on to a relationship that was way past its expiration date and trying desperately to make it work. My ex had cheated on me, and I thought we could work through it since I was so in love with him. I ended up dating this guy for a year and a half, facepalm, and the whole time I was always putting in way more effort than him. I cringe at the fact that he ended up breaking up with me instead of the other way around. If you're going through anything like I went though, just be kind to yourself. You'll go through a period of mourning the relationship even when you know it wasn't that great. And when you come to the realization of how cringy it was that you gave so much of yourself to someone like that, give yourself a break too. Recognize the fact that when you can look back at past actions and experiences and cringe at them, that's a sign of growth and maturity. Therapy. I can't recommend it enough. Spending lots of time with my friends, time in nature. Listening to music. Nothing captures heartbreak quite like music does. Allowing myself to sit with my feelings and grieve. I wasn't angry for a long time, but I had to be mad for a while in order to move on. Also, my worst habit was checking my ex's social media. I can't tell you how much better I felt when I stopped doing that. But it ultimately just takes time. Be kind to yourself. Cried a lot. Moved to a different city where I knew nobody on the other side of the country for 3 months. Went out mostly by myself and some dates. Picked up old hobbies I didn't get the time for because I was supporting an abusive unemployed duck. Started caring a little more about my appearance and felt nice whenever I walked by mirrors. Made new friends and spent more time with old ones. Talked to my mom. Grew my hair out. Got an EDSO puppy and redirected my focus to training and loving the hell out of it. It's hard to wallow in self-pity with literal puppy eyes giving you the stare down and encouraging you to be active. I realize not everyone can run out and get a puppy, but I've also been healed by starting a garden in my backyard, so plants, puppies, whatever, just redirect that energy. I did everything I ever wanted to do but couldn't while in a relationship. I ate whatever I wanted, watched my dorky shows, listened to my dorky music, read my dorky books. I wore the things he had never approved of. I worked out every day because I wanted the revenge body. I got to go on trips. I hooked up with some really fun and interesting and gorgeous people. I slept in the middle of the bed. I dimmed the passion out of my light for him and I won. Needed to get glowing again and two. Needed to get good and comfortable with it because there would never be settling again. Oh man. A high-valued breakup can force you to find yourself again, and that is honestly awesome. I wasn't able to grieve pronto because I was extremely busy. Being busy did not help me forget nor get rid of my pain. It sucks for months and it really affected my overall well-being. I decided to have a short trip when I had time. It was then when I was able to grieve and realize what happened. I cried a lot and sang as many sad songs as I can. At the same time, I enjoyed spending time with myself, exploring the place/food/culture, and just living the moment. Eventually, I met a stranger and had a meaningful discussion for almost 8 hours non-stop. This stranger made me realize my worth and what I deserved. I didn't absorb everything pronto. However, when I went back to my country and after several weeks, everything just clicked. I just realized that I finally moved on. Healing is not instant. I think someone really just had to make me realize the type of man who deserves me. Also, I really had to grieve. Cried a lot, ranted a lot, was angry and sad. Eventually the pain lessens and you cry less and learn a bit. I also got involved with a guy a few months later. It didn't work out, but for a few months it helped my self-esteem. Make yourself busy and hang out with friends. Focused on my personal goals and meeting new people. Threw myself into work/hobbies to have as little free time as possible, and then in my spare time, I let myself wallow for 4 to 6 months. By then I was feeling better, mostly. You should let yourself be sad for a little. It's okay to hurt. If you try to suffocate your feelings you just make it worse. Listen to music, cry it out, be alone, and trust that time will make it better. But don't do this for too long. After 1 week or 2, get yourself out, spend time with people you love and do things you enjoy. Dressing up nice and going out helps more. The new thing. Even if it feels like a no of the begging. It will get better, I promise. This is probably the worst way, but it was when he finally found someone new, my best friend, and I just thought I had to stop being pathetic. It truly was a wake-up call that not everyone will be in your life and it's best to let things go, so I went boxing class and pretended the bag was in her face. My first real heartbreak hit me like a truck. Was with my ex for 3 years and when it finally hit me, it was rough. Physically it felt like I was hit by a truck. My chest would tighten when I thought about him and the relationship, all the time that was invested, the things that were lost, etc., and I thought about this pretty much all day at the time. My stomach hurt, it was hard to eat. Emotionally, it was draining. I cried at the drop of a dime or struggled incredibly hard to not cry while I was at work, retail, and sometimes had tears in my eyes while talking to customers. This lasted a week or two. Then one day while I was thinking about what I was going to do with my life without him, I realized I was doing just fine before him and I will be fine after him. I started really thinking, what was I doing before him? I remembered my hobbies and the things I liked to do with my friends. I remembered what I really wanted out of life. And then I realized that I wasn't doing anything I really liked while I was with him. Our relationship was toxic on some levels and the rest of it was just work. I overlooked a lot of stupid things that he did that I would never let anyone else get away with. It was like a film had been lifted over my eyes and I could really see clearly. I started refocusing and doing all of the things I liked doing that I never really did while I was with him. Walks at the beach, drawing, studying more for my classes, focusing more at my job, friends. Lots and lots of friend time. And whenever any sadness would try to stir me up, I kept on reminding myself that I was doing just fine before him and that I'll be just fine after him. I realized that my world was not stopping because of him. There was so much more life to live. I was fortunate enough to be able to get sick leave from work to process it. Spent a month crying, staying in bed as much as I wanted, having long walks at night. Going to cafes to read, having long convos with friends. Even went on Art4R and talked to random PPL about unrelated topics in their lives. It's still ongoing, because it was just 4 months ago, but feel much better. Healing takes time. That's not something that can really be rushed. I've been with my current BF for 4 years this month, but I was with my last ex for a grand total of 8 years. Even to this day, I still have moments where I've noticed I'm not as healed as I thought I was. It's moments like that you have to give yourself grace. Sometimes things have a lasting effect, sometimes you don't know. There's more work to be done until a situation arrives and suddenly you're brought back. Give grace and be kind to yourself, it takes time. I distracted myself with work. I had a usual job as a logistics specialist at that time and I got too much into it, not telling my colleagues about my breakup and mental health state. It just helped me because I'd get to feel normal at least 9 hours a day. The second thing is one of the most important parts of my healing. I had to see a therapist after I started struggling to breathe and sleep properly. Only had couple sessions. One of the things she told me was you're giving your ex your energy when you think of him. Every single moment you think and suffer you keep giving out your energy that you need for yourself. And your ex is carrying that energy of yours like if it was in a bag. And I imagined him car-zeroing that bag with my energy, not even needing it, and treating it like a trash that he just can't get rid of. That hit me really hard. So every time I'd start thinking of past life with him and wishing he was here, or whatever thoughts came to me that hurt me, I remember that right at that moment I was giving more of my energy to the person who did not appreciate me and left me for someone else. And it just switched my thoughts to my bright future that I want to reach. It still helps not only for ex. I'm over the breakup now. But for many other things and people who upset me, I choose to keep my energy and spend it on building a better life for myself. I felt horrible, but was not willing to pine excessively. So, I got myself some therapy. I visited almost all museums in Madrid, which I should have done with or without heartbreak. I tried different restaurants, I spent more time with friends and did more activities that I liked, like walking around to discover new places in town, or that scared me a little, mountain climbing. To be clear, I never crammed activities into my routine so I wouldn't have time to feel sad, because sooner or later you will, and, in my opinion, the sooner the better, but I did use my time well to make sure I found activities that made my days worth it. Though I've never been truly heartbroken, I don't recommend jumping from one relationship and into another until you are truly ready, be it coming off a heartbreak or not. Give it a second. Allow yourself to be sad. I tend to listen to the same song repeatedly. Cry. It's okay. Process what happened. What did S/E do wrong? What did you do wrong? What was good? Get the shit talking about them out of the way now so that you don't feel compelled to bring it up in the future. And better yourself/take care of yourself until you are ready again. Keep clean, talk to your friends, get out for walks, take care of yourself. Try not to spiral. Focusing on myself. giving me time and room to grieve what was lost. Bought some nice skincare, Love Lush, and bath bombs and soap, and spoiled myself regularly. Also made food with a focus on what I felt for the day or evening. Had some snacks too. Listened to music a lot that helped me balance my emotions. Met up with family and friends. After a while you start swifting your focus outwards again. I don't think you necessarily get over it so much as you just finally pile so much other shit on top of it that you kind of forget about it most of the time. It just becomes part of you and your story, and the hurt is still there, just buried underneath all your other emotions, responsibilities, stress, and life. But if you were to dig for a while, you'd find the feelings are still there. It takes a while, a year or maybe more. I burned or smashed everything that he left behind, everything that reminded me of him, and the gifts he gave me. Really cathartic. I listened to our songs and albums because I didn't want those to be associated with him anymore. I decided to be single a bit, but found some new friends whose company I enjoyed, but understood I didn't want to be emotionally available at that time. I did build some positive habits. I spend more time at the gym, I read more, and I spend more time with my best friends, who were a huge help in lifting my mood. I went out more, too. I took myself to art galleries, farmers markets, out to dinner, etc. If I couldn't find anyone to go with me, I'd go alone. I wanted to experience things and get air and be distracted. I allowed myself to sit with all my emotions. It didn't matter whether I was taking the dog out and I was crying in the fields or popping into town and crying. I just let it be. I invested in nurtured relationship with friends and family more. Noticed the value they add to my life more. I wrote a list of goals for the year, activities to be more confident in myself, more secure, activities that I enjoy, activities to learn new skills or habits. Going for dinner by myself, cinema by myself, gigs on my own. Things that push me out of my comfort zone. Found new hobbies by chance and thrown myself into them. Gives me some self-soothing time and times at focus. Reflected on my part in the relationship and using that to start improving weaknesses. Plan in short breaks and holidays for the year. Taken almost every opportunity when people have asked if I want to do something. I have been using the 6-minute journal to encourage appreciation and noticing positivity. The bond between me and our dog has become even stronger. My anxiety went into overdrive and I spent a week in hospital for dehydration from vomiting. 100% would not recommend. But, the week alone, with my phone off, other than updating my mom, and people telling me when to eat, making sure I took my meds etc., gave me space to think over things and realized that I was more upset about losing him. And the relationship that I thought we had. I thought about so much stuff, knowing I would be looked after if I spiraled, and came out of it feeling better about myself and my future, with a much clearer head and a better appreciation for the other things in my life that made me happy. I'm still friends with my ex because, while we didn't work as a couple, we are amazing as friends, and I know I wouldn't have been able to be comfortable with such a close friendship if I hadn't had the time to reevaluate everything. Assuming you're asking because of your current situation, I hope things get better soon, but don't try to rush through it. If you can take some time away from everything somewhere, I absolutely recommend doing so. We need to grieve these things, and sometimes everyday life just gets in the way too much. I lay in my bed, I listen to music, I feel, I cry, I allow and do not deny myself of anything. I allow my mind to think as healthy as possible. I look forward to future events, I plan future events. I spend a lot of time in my bed feeling sorry for myself for a while before I decide it's time to get up and be a part of society again. Got new hobbies, went out with friends more often, got a gym membership. It sounds cliche, but do what you have to do to keep busy and not sulk into sadness. I'm not saying avoid feeling sad, because most of the time you have to really feel and get through the depressive moments. Life moves on and waits for no one. Heal and live.
Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe. The Internet Surfer on YouTube for more horror and scary stories.